All right, so you're ready to really nail that Paper Mill Supervisor interview and not just show up you want to stand out from the crowd. Well, that's exactly what this deep dive is all about. We're going to use RoleCatcher's career guide and their interview guide. And we've even got some info on their AI tools. We're going to make sure that you're not just prepped, but that you're strategically prepped.
Yeah, it's like having a playbook made for this exact job, not just your typical interview advice.
Exactly. And before we even get into the questions, let's get a good picture of what this job really is. It's not a quiet office job, is it?
Not even close. Picture a busy paper mill. All the noise, the machinery, the constant movement. As a supervisor, you'll be coordinating teams and overseeing production. You have to make sure that every single box and envelope meets the quality standards. The RoleCatcher guide actually said that a good supervisor can impact a mill's entire output, not just one little part of it.
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility. So it's not just knowing how to make paper, it's about leadership and the big picture. What about career growth? Where could this role take you?
A lot of production managers actually started as supervisors. RoleCatcher mentioned that. And certifications like Six Sigma Green Belt can make you stand out. They show that you get process improvement. And that's a big deal in this industry.
So there's room to move up.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get into those interview questions, RoleCatcher has this interesting AI tool that analyzes job descriptions. Can you tell me more about how this AI can help tailor your application?
It's almost like having someone on the inside, someone who knows exactly what they're looking for. The AI finds those keywords and skills specific to the job you're applying for. Then it tells you what to put front and center on your resume and cover letter. It can even help you figure out what those applicant tracking systems or ATS are looking for. That way you won't get screened out.
It's like having a secret weapon, something to get past the robots and into the hands of a real person.
Exactly. And they even have AI that gives feedback on practice interview answers. It analyzes your responses and tells you how to make them better. It helps you sound more natural and confident. And it's all tailored for the specific role.
Okay, that's great. Now let's dive into those interview questions. RoleCatcher gave us 10 common ones that might come up. The first one seems simple, but it's a chance to make a good first impression. Describe your experience working in a paper mill.
Don't just list your past jobs. This is where you show how much you really know. Talk about the machines you've used, the processes you've learned, the challenges you've faced. It's like giving the interviewer a tour of your experience. What are the important things you'd point out?
So instead of saying, I was a machine operator, I should say something like, I spent 3 years operating and maintaining the rewinder on the PM4 line, troubleshooting downtime issues and ensuring consistent paper quality.
Now you're talking. And be ready for follow-up questions. They might ask about the problems you faced on that PM4 line, how you solved them, what you learned. They want to see that you can handle the technical stuff and think critically.
Okay, so don't be afraid to get into the details. Question number 2. How do you ensure that production targets are met while maintaining quality standards? That's a tough one.
It is. It's something every paper mill supervisor has to be good at. They don't just want someone who can push for more and more paper. They want someone who knows how to keep things balanced, quality and quantity. Here's where those examples from your past experience are super important. Did you ever have to make a tough choice that affected both how much you made and the quality? How did you handle it? What happened in the end?
And one proof you can do it, not just talk about it.
Exactly. Don't forget the technical side of things. The RoleCatcher Career Guide goes into things like runnability, basis weight, and fiber content. Use those in your answer to show you understand the details of how paper is made, not just the leadership part. Be ready for follow-up questions about handling pressure, delegating tasks, making quick decisions, all while keeping things running smoothly.
Okay, on to a huge topic in this industry. How do you implement safety protocols in your department? This isn't just about checking boxes, it's about keeping people safe.
You got it. The RoleCatcher Guide really highlights all the dangers in a paper mill. Moving machinery, high temperatures, chemicals. The interviewer wants to know that safety is a part of how you lead, not just something you know about.
So what should I focus on in my answer?
Think about safety programs you've started or been a part of. Did you lead any safety training? Conduct audits? How did you create a culture where safety is everyone's job, not just a bunch of rules?
I should probably mention that I know OSHA regulations and how I'd make sure the department always follows them.
Definitely. And be ready for questions about how you deal with safety violations and near misses, even how you'd encourage people to always be looking for ways to improve safety.
So I need to show them I'm proactive, knowledgeable, and that safety is always my top priority. Okay, question 4 is a bit different. How do you maintain employee motivation and engagement in your department? It seems tough to keep people happy in a paper mill.
It can be a demanding job, but that's where your leadership really matters. Remember, you're not just managing machines, you're managing people. The interviewer wants to see that you understand what motivates people, especially in this type of environment.
Any suggestions on what I could talk about?
Think about times you've boosted morale, created teamwork, or made employees feel valued. Did you ever start a reward system? Give people opportunities to learn and grow. RoleCatcher actually said that letting employees suggest improvements can be really motivating. It shows them that their ideas matter.
I'm guessing they might ask about dealing with underperforming team members or resolving conflicts, building that sense of teamwork even when things are tough.
You got it. It's all about showing you can build a strong team, a team that not only gets the work done, but actually enjoys working together.
And let's talk about something that happens in every workplace, but especially a high-pressure one like a paper mill. Question 5. How do you handle conflicts or disagreements within your team? This feels tricky.
It's not about avoiding conflict completely. It's about showing you can handle it in a positive way. The interviewer wants to see that you're a mediator, not a dictator.
So how do I show that?
Don't just say you're good at resolving conflict. Give them a real example, maybe a personality clash, a disagreement about how to do something, whatever's relevant to your experience. How did you figure out the root of the problem? What steps did you take to get people talking and find a solution?
It sounds like they want to see I can listen to everyone, stay neutral, and find solutions that work for the whole team.
Exactly. Be ready for questions about your conflict resolution style, are you collaborative, direct, etc., and how you deal with those really tough personalities, because every team has them.
Okay, we're making progress. Question 6 is about the logistics. How do you manage inventory and ensure there's no shortage of materials?
This is where being organized and detail-oriented is important. A paper mill can't run without materials. Any disruption can have big consequences. They want to see that you're not just reacting to problems, but preventing them.
So it's not just about knowing what's in stock. It's about planning ahead and making sure the supply chain is strong.
You got it. Think about a time you implemented a new inventory system or streamlined ordering processes. Maybe you even built a relationship with a supplier that helped you out during a shortage. What do you do to stay ahead of the game?
They probably want to know that I can handle the pressure of keeping everything running smoothly. What kind of follow-up questions might I get?
They could ask about your experience with inventory software or strategies for predicting how much you'll need. Maybe even your negotiation skills when it comes to getting the best prices and delivery times.
So it's a mix of logistics planning and building relationships with suppliers. On to question 7. How do you ensure that maintenance and repairs are carried out in a timely manner? This sounds like it could make or break a production run.
Absolutely. Downtime is the enemy in a paper mill. And a good supervisor knows that preventive maintenance is key, just as important as fixing what's already broken.
How do I show them I'm on top of this?
Give specific examples again. Talk about a time you implemented a preventative maintenance program, or streamlined the repair process, or maybe even got creative to get a critical piece of equipment back up and running quickly. What systems and processes do you use to keep those machines humming?
So it's not just about fixing things, it's about stopping them from breaking in the first place. What about those follow-up questions?
Be ready to discuss your experience with different types of paper mill equipment, your knowledge of troubleshooting techniques, and even how you decide which repairs to do first when multiple things go wrong at the same time, because that will happen.
Wow, starting to feel the pressure now. Let's move on to question 8. It goes back to that important topic of quality. How do you ensure that your team adheres to quality control standards?
This is where your attention to detail comes in, and your ability to teach others to have that same focus. In the paper industry, quality is essential. A small flaw can become a big problem later on.
So they're looking for someone who's meticulous and who can hold their team to that same high standard.
Exactly. Think about times you've implemented quality control procedures, or trained people on standards, or maybe even had to deal with a quality issue directly. How do you make quality a part of everything your team does, not just something they think about afterward?
What about follow-up questions?
They might ask about your experience with quality control software, your way of finding and fixing quality deviations, and maybe even how you motivate your team to take pride in their work, to see themselves as the protectors of quality.
Okay, 2 more to go. Question 9 applies to any job, but I bet it's extra important in a paper mill. How do you manage time and prioritize tasks to ensure that deadlines are met?
Time management is a superpower for supervisors. You've got production schedules, maintenance needs, safety checks, personnel issues, all happening at the same time. The interviewer wants to know you can handle all that without missing a beat.
So how do I show them I'm a master of time and task management?
Give them a real example of a time you juggled a lot of different things at once. How did you break down tasks, delegate effectively, and stay organized? What tools or techniques do you use to keep everything on track?
So it's not just about managing my own time, it's about helping my team manage theirs too.
You got it. Be ready for follow-ups about your favorite time management methods, how you handle unexpected things popping up, and how you communicate about deadlines and potential delays.
All right, last question. This one focuses on your team. How do you ensure that your team is trained and competent in their roles?
This is all about your ability to not only manage, but to grow your team. The paper industry is always changing, with new technologies and best practices coming up all the time. The interviewer wants to know you're committed to making sure your team keeps learning and improving.
So it's not just about the initial training, it's about ongoing development.
Exactly. Think about a time you found a skill gap in your team and took steps to fix it. Did you create a training program or a mentoring system? Or encourage cross-training so everyone learns different skills? How do you create a culture of continuous learning in your department?
What kind of follow-up questions might they ask?
They might be interested in your experience with different training methods, how you know if the training is effective, or even how you spot and support high-potential employees.
So it's about creating a learning environment where everyone feels supported and they feel like they can grow. This deep dive has been really helpful so far.
We've covered a lot, but there's still more to talk about. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more tips to help you ace that interview. You know, it's pretty impressive how much a paper mill supervisor has to handle.
It really is. We've talked about leadership, technical skills, safety, quality control, keeping those machines running. It's a lot, but that's what this deep dive is for, right? To get you ready for anything.
And remember those AI tools we talked about. They can be really helpful, especially when it comes to your application and practicing your answers.
Oh yeah, RoleCatcher's AI can help you make sure your resume and cover letter are perfect, making sure you're using the right keywords and skills, the ones the hiring manager and those applicant tracking systems are looking for.
It's like having a coach who knows the paper industry inside and out, and they can help you put your best foot forward. And their AI feedback on practice interview answers is amazing. It's like doing a mock interview with an expert who can tell you exactly what to improve. It can help you sound confident and prepared.
Okay, so we've covered the job itself, the AI tools, and the first 7 interview questions. Let's do the last 3. Starting with question 8. How do you ensure that your team adheres to quality control standards?
This is where your leadership skills and your attention to detail really matter. Quality is super important in a paper mill. It's not just a suggestion. Even a tiny defect can cause major problems down the line.
So it's not enough to just set the standards. You have to make sure your team understands them, believes in them, and actually follows them.
Exactly. Think about a time when you had to implement a new quality control procedure. Or maybe you had to deal with a recurring quality issue. What did you do? Did you provide more training? Implement a new tracking system? Did you have to have a tough conversation with someone who wasn't meeting expectations?
I guess they're looking for someone who can spot quality problems, but also someone who can fix those problems and hold their team accountable.
You got it. And don't forget to highlight the good things that happened because of what you did. Did your actions lead to fewer defects? Or maybe they increased customer satisfaction or even save the company money.
That's a good point. It's not just about talking about what I would do. It's about showing them what I've actually done.
Exactly. Now get ready for some follow-up questions. They might ask about specific quality control metrics you've tracked, your experience with different quality control software, or even your approach to continuous improvement when it comes to quality. They want to know that you're not just maintaining standards, but that you're always looking for ways to make things better.
Always looking for ways to improve. Got it. Question 9 is a bit more general, but still really important. How do you manage time and prioritize tasks to ensure that deadlines are met?
Time management is so important for supervisors. Think about it. You've got production schedules, maintenance schedules, safety checks, team meetings, all happening at the same time. And you have to meet deadlines. The interviewer wants to know that you can handle all of that without things falling apart.
It sounds like a lot to juggle.
It is. So think about a time you had to manage a really complicated project. Or maybe you had a ton of deadlines all at once. How did you break down the tasks? How did you delegate effectively? What tools or systems did you use to stay on top of everything?
So it's not just about being good at time management myself, it's about helping my team stay organized and efficient too.
Exactly. Now be ready for some follow-up questions about your time management techniques. How do you deal with unexpected interruptions? Or when priorities change suddenly? Because let's face it, that happens all the time in a paper mill. They might also ask how you communicate progress and potential delays, both to your team and to upper management.
Okay, last question. This one is about developing your team. How do you ensure that your team is trained and competent in their roles?
This is all about your ability to not just manage a team, but to actually help them grow. Investing in their development is so important.
So it's about creating a culture of learning and growth in the department.
Precisely. Think about how you've done that in the past. Did you implement a cross-training program so everyone could learn new skills? Did you create a mentorship program for new employees? Maybe you even encouraged your team to get certifications like Six Sigma Green Belt so they could learn more about process improvement.
I can see how talking about those things would impress the interviewer.
Right.
It shows that I care about my team's success, not just my own.
Exactly. They might ask you about your experience with different training methods. How do you know if the training is actually working? And how do you identify and support high potential employees?
It sounds like they're looking for someone who takes training and development seriously, not just a one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to go back to something we talked about earlier. The paper industry is becoming more and more focused on sustainability.
That's a great point. The RoleCatcher Career Guide really emphasizes how important it is to show that you understand that. It's not just about making paper anymore, it's about making it in a responsible way.
So how can I work that into my answers without it sounding forced?
Think of it this way. Sustainability is a part of every aspect of the job.
Okay, I think I see what you mean. So when I'm talking about safety, I could mention reducing waste and minimizing our impact on the environment. Exactly. Or when you're talking about production targets, you could talk about ways to be more efficient while also saving resources.
And when I'm answering that question about team development,
Yeah.
I could highlight any training related to sustainable practices.
You got it. It's all about connecting the dots, showing them that you see the big picture. Sustainability isn't just a trendy word. It's a core value that should be a part of everything a paper mill supervisor does.
That's really helpful advice. It's not just about giving the right answers. It's about showing them that I'm a forward-thinking leader, someone who's ready for the challenges and opportunities in this changing industry.
Wow. We've really covered a lot in this deep dive. Everything from the details of paper production to the big changes happening in the industry.
Yeah, and we went through those 10 tough interview questions, gave you some strategies and insights to help you create answers that will make you stand out.
Right. Plus, we talked about how RoleCatcher's AI tools can give you an advantage, from making your application better to practicing your answers.
It's like having your own personal coaching team. Exactly. But before you go into that interview, let's talk about those last impressions. How can I really seal the deal?
This is your chance to show them your enthusiasm, your passion for the paper industry, and that you're genuinely interested in this specific company.
So it's not just about listing my qualifications. It's about showing them I'm excited and that I'd be a good fit for their team.
Exactly. Before you go to the interview, do some research on the company. Learn about their values, what makes them different, what's been happening in the news, and the industry that relates to their business.
That's a good point. Doing my homework shows I'm serious, and it helps me tailor my answers to what they're looking for.
You got it. And when you're answering questions, don't just focus on the technical stuff. Highlight those soft skills that are important for any leader. Things like communication, teamwork, problem solving, being adaptable.
I'm guessing they'll also want someone who takes initiative and isn't afraid to think outside the box.
Definitely. Those are valuable qualities in any fast-paced environment, especially a paper mill.
Okay, so research enthusiasm, hard skills, and soft skills. Got it. Any advice on my closing statement?
That's your last chance to make a strong impression. Restate your passion for the role and the company. Briefly summarize your strengths and how they match what they need.
And I shouldn't forget a strong call to action.
Sure.
Telling them I'm eager to contribute and make a difference.
You got it. Don't leave any doubt in their minds. Make sure they know you're not just looking for any job. You want to build your career there and help them succeed.
This deep dive into the world of paper mill supervisors has been amazing. We learned about the job, tackled those interview questions, and explored how RoleCatcher's AI tools can be super helpful.
Remember, combine hard work with the power of technology, and you can achieve anything.
So what does this all mean for you? You now have the knowledge, the preparation strategies, and the confidence to go out there and get that paper mill supervisor job.
Best of luck. And remember, the paper industry is always changing. With more focus on sustainability and innovation,
As you start this new journey, think about how you can be a part of shaping the future of paper production. It's an industry full of opportunities for those who are passionate, dedicated, and ready to lead